Hello, welcome back to episode reviews. I guess that's what we're calling this. We did one of these last year, but I am Steve, the creator of the channel, and with me is my friend Kat.
Hello.
And so today we decided to look at the first episodes of some other Hasbro shows because this has been requested a couple times. But I decided this didn't really fit a whole lot of other shows, so why not? Let's just do a bit of an honest discussion. So we're talking about the first episodes of the 2010 Pound Puppies show, and the first episode, which is a two-parter of Littlest Pet Shop, both of which were aired on the Hub, later Discovery Family, the same place that aired My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. So yeah, for full disclosure, right off the bat, I don't think either of us have seen any of these shows before this.
No, I don't think I ever watched any of them, or if I did, it was probably very briefly while I was channel flipping. Well, I saw more of Pound Puppies, like slightly, but I never saw anything about Littlest Pet Shop.
Mm. I think I was kind of in the opposite vein. I remember seeing I remember back in the day they would show clips of of shows for ads of the Hub back when it was like first starting out, and I vaguely remember clips of Pound Puppies. The only thing I ever remembered was there was the dog played by John DiMaggio, and the one clip they would always use was having him saying like "secret but fun," and I remember
Oh
the internet
yeah,
took.
I recognized him.
And I remember that clip just got memed into oblivion a bunch back in the day. And Littlest Pet Shop, I remember them advertising it a lot when it first came out in 2012. I remember an ad where they had the MLP characters and the Littlest Pet Shop characters interacting with each other with obviously like just reused animation that they dubbed over later. But they had some joke about how characters played by Ashley Ball all basically sound the same.
Okay, that's pretty clever, and I don't know if the same people were working on both shows, but some of the character designs, okay, they had to have been copying homework a little bit.
Oh God, yeah, especially with Littlest Pet Shop. I'm assuming there was probably a show for Littlest Pet Shop in the 90s, I think. I think I read that there wasn't a show in like 95. And I know Pound Puppies, I know for a fact, had a show in like I think the late 80s, early 90s. We've never seen any of those shows either. So the closest thing I know about Pound Puppies is there was a theatrical movie, which I don't even think that was real like vaguely connected to the original show.
Yeah, the only Pound Puppies thing I knew about was some books and a coloring book that were at my grandparents' house like ages ago that I think belonged to my cousins, but that's about it. And I had no idea if there was a Littlest Pet Shop show from the 90s.
So yeah, so we went into these completely blind, and well, I guess we could start with the Pound Puppies episode because it's only one episode versus Littlest Pet Shop, which is a two-parter. And also, Pound Puppies I think came first. What did you think about the animation and like the character designs of Pound Puppies?
The character designs were fine, but the animation itself was a little choppy, I think. I don't want to be mean, but it was a little choppier than Littlest Pet Shop. Like, there wasn't as much detail, I think.
Yeah. I agree with that completely. I was thinking that too. Like the designs aren't that bad. Like it all looks perfectly fine, but then when you see it in motion, it definitely screams Flash animation for sure. It's the first thing you think of when you think Flash animation.
The voice
Yeah.
acting on the show was really good. And they actually got a lot of American voice actors. I thought for sure this was going to be another Canucksploitation show.
Yeah, there was a decent number of people I recognized. And I don't know if you had this experience, but there were some times where I heard characters, and I swear to God, I thought they were different voice actors. Like the main human guy who like runs the pound that they're at, the guy with the glasses. He at first I thought it was Tom Kenny a little bit, but it actually wasn't.
It wasn't? I thought for sure that was him.
See, it sounded so much like him. And then like the guy who's working with him, and maybe this is just me, but it sounded like Dan Castellaneta, and then I looked it up, it was M. Emmett Walsh, and I'm like, oh no shit, that's M. Emmett Walsh. But every time he said like, but sure, I just kept flashing back to but Urge, whatever Homer would say that.
Who did they get to play the the stupid head of the pound?
Yeah, let me look up that guy's name again. Yeah.
Oh, Rene Auberjonois.
Thank
I've
you.
heard of him. He was on
Thank
a
you.
bunch of stuff. He played the crazy chef in Little Mermaid, and he was the head psychologist at Arkham in Batman Forever.
Oh, okay. So there you go.
And I think
Yeah.
he did some voice acting in Gargoyles too.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
But he does a great mimic of Tom Kenny, since I thought for sure that was him.
Yeah. Also, like before we get into the actual plot of the episode, which is it's very bare bones. There's a new arrival at the pound. It's this dog that has like ginger highlights, and then there's a boy who kind of looks like a ginger version of the main kid from Loud House a little bit.
Oh yeah, he kind of does.
This dog, he's never been adopted before, and then like him and the boy have this instant connection, but unfortunately he doesn't get adopted right away, so then it's up to the pound puppies to try and get him back to the pound so that he can get adopted. And there's a whole other thing going on with the pound where the guy who runs the place buys this machine that can instantly feed all the dogs, so they don't even have to like hire people to do stuff like that. And then they're also trying to get like a newspaper to talk about this, to try and give them some free promotion. The person who's in charge of writing the story for the paper is actually a teenager voiced by Eddie Deason. And it's funny because he kind of looks like Eddie Deason at first, and then when you hear him speak, you're like, yep, that's Mandark.
Yeah, I was thinking, oh, are they gonna get an adult? It's like, nope. It's like, hi, Mandark.
It's literally just Mandark. They end up messing up the machine so that the man with his son, because he was the person that dropped it off in the first place, comes back, and then they adopt the dog. It's a whole thing. I will say this: I was actually kind of surprised, like the direction they took this show, because, like, again, I have not seen the original show or the theatrical movie. They turned the Pound Puppies into sort of like this like underground agency type thing. Quite literally, they have like a whole underground lair. It's very like it's like cats and dogs for some reason.
Yeah, but honestly, this is better.
Yeah, way better. Oh God. And yeah, of course you have all your different quirky personalities. You got, the leader of the bunch, you got the big silly one, you got the feisty short dog, which is a Chihuahua, because of course you got I think she was supposed to be like a pit bull or a Rottweiler kind of dog who's supposed to be
I think she was a boxer.
Boxer, thank you. And she's supposed to be sort of like the hard ass who, secretly a softie underneath. And then you got the wiener dog who has like a European accent and is supposed to be the super intelligent one. So you got your ragtag team of characters, and there's like, I don't know, the entire thing. I thought it was fine for what it was. I don't think I would have watched a whole lot of it when it was on, because it went for 3 seasons, so at least it got that far.
Yeah, I think it would have been a fine show to put on the background, because it's not something you'd automatically turn off. And maybe it's just me, but I had Candy Milo on the brain with the wiener dog, because that sounded a little bit like a more feminine Dexter.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. I also thought it was going to be Tabitha St. Germain for a second, but it wasn't. This one, unlike Littlest Pet Shop, does not have a lot of the same voice actors from like other DHX media shows. But yeah, I could definitely hear Candy Milo. They definitely make her kind of like she's the quirky scientist character.
And of course, John DiMaggio plays the big dum-dum.
Yeah, I loved him. Every time he said something, I laughed, because it's just John DiMaggio being fun.
Yeah, he has the natural talent of playing a big goofball.
Like voice, it's kind a little bit like Jake the dog, except they make him like 10 times like stupider.
Oh yeah, and it's interesting that they have the Pound Puppies be considered a legend. So it makes me wonder if this could be a sequel to the original Pound Puppies cartoon, where there were once Pound Puppies from the '80s show, and these could be like these new dogs continuing the legacy.
Yeah, maybe. Like, I thought that was interesting too. Like, who knows? Maybe there's an episode in here where they actually like make callbacks to the original show.
Yeah, because a lot of those dogs were bipedal, where they stood up on their paws.
I'm so glad that you pointed that out, because I was thinking that too. It's like, wow, this not only is the type of show different with the whole like underground agency thing, but yeah, like even in terms of the character designs, like the dogs all walk around like normal dogs instead of the original where, like you said, they were bipedal and walked on 2 legs and wore people clothes.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me wonder if puppy power is a whole thing in the show, or if they just were like, no, that's too stupid, we're scrapping that.
Well, they did say they could talk to humans sometimes, I think.
Yeah, and speaking of the original show, like the little that I know about it, like I think in the original it was like a lady that was in charge of the pound, and like her daughter was friends with the dogs and could talk to them. They just decided to scrap that entirely, and instead you got, middle-aged man with glasses who runs everything. And I will say I did laugh at this because I like these kind of jokes where like you'll have a character say something and then immediately contradict themselves without realizing it. The truck driver with the Lincoln Loud looking son is like, oh, can we adopt that one dog? And then the head of the place is just like, I can't deal with adoptions right now. I'm too busy trying to make this place look like a good adoption center.
What an idiot!
I'm like, wow, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, this guy sucks at business.
Yeah, no wonder his place is not doing so great. If he refuses to give dogs to people who really want to adopt them, he's awful at it.
And so like they end up the dogs with squirrels that they have working for them, because of course they do. They end up screwing up the machine at the big press junket with Mandark and the mayor in attendance as well. The mayor is like a brother-in-law to the guy. That's a whole dialogue heavy scene between them. They end up messing up the machine, so then they have to get the guy who delivered it to come back and fix it, and or replace it or something like that. And it results in a bunch of dog food being sprayed onto people. Oh man. Oh god. Oh, and they also have to get the Chihuahua out of the file cabinet, because when they were snooping around trying to get the paperwork and the receipts, it ended up getting stuck in the file cabinets, and then they lower giant John DiMaggio dog down on a string to like try and open it, and it's like, oh yeah, of course you're relying on the big goofball to open it up.
I would have lowered the boxer down.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like we said, it was a fine show. It's like I don't know if we would have really gotten into it a whole lot, but I mean, for what it is, it's fine. The animation was fine. It probably would have taken a little getting used to, but for what it is, it's perfectly serviceable. It's a fine kid show that was made to tie into whatever product Hasbro was pushing.
Yeah, I think it was a perfectly serviceable show. Like it was a little mean spirited to start, but that tone went away. Aside from the stupid owner, but that's
right.
It.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, that guy. And then poor M. Emmett Walsh, Dan Castellaneta sounding guy, what was it? Olaf was his name?
Yeah, Olaf.
They just kept he just kept pushing him around, and you're just like, poor guy.
If anything, he should be the one running things.
He seemed like he genuinely liked dogs, so it's like but of course it's the typical cartoon formula of, evil boss or, dick person in charge.
And then the likable like minion.
Exactly. And then the dog gets adopted at the end, and I forget what I forget what his initial name was, but then the kid renames him to be Bob, and then there's the joke where they all look like, what?
I think he was named Yipper to start.
Yipper.
Then when they named him Bob, everyone was just like, Bob? That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, before we switch gears to the other one, I must ask, did you prefer Littlest Pet Shop over Pound Puppies from the episodes that we saw?
I liked Pound Puppies, but I think I preferred Littlest Pet Shop a little more.
Yeah, you can kind of, right off the bat, you can kind of tell they were putting a little more effort into this one because it is a two-parter, so they were trying to work it a little more. I wouldn't say I liked it as much as MLP, because with the two-parters with MLP, generally, it felt like they actually had, lots of story to tell.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So yeah, as for the plot, well, I'll say I think the animation was a little bit better. I think the animation designs in this one were better. Like the background specifically, I thought it still looked like a Flash cartoon through and through, but I don't know, the backgrounds kind of reminded me of some other Flash cartoons from the 2000s. Like I was getting kind of Atomic Betty vibes a little bit, mostly because I did a video on that months ago.
Yeah, you can definitely tell a Canadian Flash animated cartoon pretty quickly.
Especially considering the voice cast in this one, which, oh boy, we'll get to that. Lots of reused Canadian voice actors from DHX Media's other shows, like Friendship is Magic. But Okay, so the plot of this one, this is actually a decent setup to like the actual plot of the series. We see everything get explained in this two-parter. You have a main girl named Blythe, who is apparently based on another like toy line that Hasbro had. They decided to mix the two into this series. But Blythe was, I guess, just a series of dolls they had that was sort of like their attempt at competing with like Barbie and stuff. And then they decided to make her the main character of this show.
I honestly didn't know about that.
And then, of course, Littlest Pet Shop was just like a series of play sets that had cute little animals that you were supposed to accessorize and whatnot. But the plot is Blythe is like middle school or high school kid. I forget if they actually specified that.
I think they said school, but she looked more middle school than high school. Yeah. But I think we need to check the sign on her school because it's not like Etta and Nettie where they switched it out depending on whatever was convenient.
Yeah, right. But she's perfectly content living in suburbia, and then her dad, who's a pilot, has a job promotion who says, "Oh, we're going to be moving." And of course, this is after a huge narration at the beginning where she says that she's perfectly content with where she is. And her dream is that she wants to be a fashion designer, and that comes into play in the second part. But as they're going into the town that's going to be their new home, we see that the dad drives like a total maniac, very similar to the mom from Ponyo.
Yeah, for a pilot, that's not exactly a good quality to have.
I mean, driving onto the sidewalk and then going down into a subway station and then coming out the other end. Yeah, I don't know if that's really I don't think that really fits requirements.
And ending up on top of a truck.
God, yeah, that's right. They end up on top of like one of those big trucks that has like a bunch of cars to be delivered on it.
Yeah, it makes me worried for poor Blythe.
And I love it because then like they have people passing him and it's like, "Which way you're going?" And he's like, "Oh, sorry, I'm a pilot." And it's like, yeah, a pilot, not much of a driver though.
I hope he flies planes better.
They end up at their apartment building, which is right above and next door to a pet store that's going out of business called Littlest Pet Shop. And well, they also established we got some mean girls they're supposed to be twins, right? What was it, Brittany and Whitney?
Yeah, the creepy like fashionista goth. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, they got the goth aesthetic going on with the strand of the piece of hair that goes over the eye.
Actually, it makes me wonder if they're like distant descendants of Cruella because one has black hair, the other has white hair.
And they hate animals.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was like, oh, good, the mean girl trope. And then they actually say mean girl in the next scene. I was like, oh, God, they're self-aware. Oh, no.
And they're also creepy twins because they can somehow teleport into the apartment when they're trying to intimidate Blythe.
Yeah, what was that about? Like, teleport, Mario. Oh, God. But so, yeah, they're getting settled into their new home. And then Blythe comes across a dumbwaiter that's by the window of her room. She takes it. She ends up falling because she gets startled by some spiders and dust mites in there. And then I guess the ability to speak to animals comes from she bonked her head. So it's like a Dr. Dolittle type of thing going on. Because, I mean, they kind of hint that maybe the store owner, who's played by Kathleen Barr, that she can apparently, she said, like, Blythe asked her, so can you speak to animals too? And she says, oh yeah, but they usually ask me for food. So it's like, okay, so I guess maybe she can't, or maybe she can, maybe it's elaborated on in a later episode.
I was thinking like maybe she was playing dumb because she wants to see if she could trust Blythe, but who knows? Maybe she's just like the quiet mentor that's watching from the background.
She's the nice old lady who, takes over like the mentor role, maybe. And then you got a gaggle of animals that all have specific personality traits. You got the leader of the bunch, you got the comedian, you got the kind of shy, quiet one, you got the one that's all about order and trying to keep things from falling into chaos. You got the fashionista one, kind of, and one that's into magic. It's basically the main six, kind of, sort of, not really. Especially, you wanted to bring this up with the character designs looking similar.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. The dog looks exactly like Twilight Sparkle, but with Rarity's character mixed in there.
Yeah. And then the lizard iguana guy. I mean, this is not MLP related, and this is mostly a joke, but because it's a lizard that has like coiffed hair, and I was like, oh my god, it's Matt Watson from Super Mega. Holy crap! But yeah, all these characters are supposed to have specific, distinct personalities, and again, lots of Canadian voice actors. My favorite one is once again good old Samuel Vincent, baby, playing an orange hedgehog. And as soon as he started talking, I was like, oh my god, it's Sonic! And then, but then later his personality isn't really cool and radical, so I guess he's not really. But Samuel Vincent apparently once was Sonic the Hedgehog, so that's pretty funny.
Yeah, he did the singing voice for him in Sonic Underground.
The best Sonic show. So the conflict comes in that the store is about to be shut down, and Blythe, now able to speak to these animals, of course she develops a friendship with them, and she has to try and help keep the store afloat. But it seems like that's going to be difficult because there's a big box store that's miserable. Largest Pet Shop, was that what it was called?
Yeah, and it's like basically a prison where the food has no flavor, the squeak toys don't squeak, and the animals can't hang out with each other.
Yeah, they're all basically held in cages. And then I love it as she's like working her way back home. There's a guy walking a dog, and the dog starts talking. She just freaks out and runs. That was kind of funny.
I think it's really interesting that the old lady's hair kind of looks like the evil twins. Maybe they're related. Who knows?
Yeah, they also show their dad at briefly. They're getting dropped off at school in a limousine because, of course. And what the dad is, I think, played by Samuel Vincent. And again, maybe there's episodes that show him. We don't know this right off the bat, but yeah, who knows? Maybe they are related in some way.
I was just thinking by the similar hairstyles.
Yeah, maybe she's their aunt or something.
Aunt, grandma, who knows?
Yeah. They also show, speaking of which, they also go to the school, and Blythe makes some quick friends, and I couldn't help but notice that like it's three of them. There's two girls and one boy, and I couldn't help but notice that the boy is played by Kathleen Barr again, and it's just straight up Kevin / Edgar from Edgar and Ellen's voice.
Yeah, but much nicer.
Much nicer. Yeah. Oh, by the way, we have to bring this up. These two episodes are filled with musical numbers and montages. There's a lot of those.
Yeah, even MLP wasn't that stuffed.
Even the first two-parter of MLP didn't even have a song number aside from Giggle at the Ghosties. Like that was about it. This one, there are like 2 songs and there's a bunch of extended montage sequences. So I think that's how they were able to get this to a 2-episode runtime.
Oh, absolutely.
So the animals are begging Blythe to help, and Blythe decides that, okay, she will, but they're trying to figure out a way to get, some easy money to help pay off the store's debts. And so they come up with a pet fashion show, which, I mean, I get that's the whole point of the toy line, but I mean, and I'm speaking for me personally, I don't know what you think of this. I can't stand when people dress up animals. I find it really tacky.
Yeah, my friend would definitely agree with you because the animals already have fur, so they would just get really hot. But I guess if the animals in this show like it, then okay.
Yeah, so that way they can put Blythe's character trait that she wants to be a fashion designer to good use. So yeah, and again, it goes along with the toy line that you're supposed to accessorize the animals. But then creepy fashionista twins decide they're going to fuck up everything by they're basically going to pull a Carrie, but instead of fake blood, they're going to dump like
kitty litter and glitter.
That's what it was. Thank you. Yeah, and then and for some reason they're dressed up like cat people because they don't want to get recognized, I guess. But the entire they even have a part where people walk by them and they just act like cats, and it's just like it's 10 times funnier if you're just like, no, it's all right, it's okay. They're the only 2 people in existence who unironically love cats 2019. They took it. They were just getting too into character. So this is the other thing. They also try to fuck things up because Blythe and her friends are putting flyers for the big pet fashion show all around town, and they mess with the flyers by saying there's going to be free money. And then like before the show goes off without a hitch, you have people in the crowd being like, I came for the free money.
Don't you think they would have noticed something was off by how that was added at the last minute?
But the fashion show goes off without a hitch. We get another montage set to 2012 pop music, which, let me tell you, as someone who lived through 2012, that pop music, man, took me back to when pop music sounded like that. It's like same thing with the first Equestria Girls movie. But like 2012, 2013 pop music had a very specific sound, and you'll definitely find it with this.
Absolutely. And it's kind of funny that the lizard had a Michael Jackson aesthetic with the hat and the shiny glove.
Yes, and they even sample the Thriller music in it. I was like, they did not just do that.
Oh, I didn't notice that, but that's clever.
Like you got like the little like music sting, the do 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 do. I was like, oh my god, that's Thriller, holy shit. But yeah, so it goes well, and creepy fashionista twins end up getting their comeuppance. They get startled by Samuel Vincent's hedgehog, which they think is a porcupine, which is a running gag throughout the thing. He keeps saying, I am not a porcupine, I'm a hedgehog. And they end up falling, and they get the kitty litter and glitter all over them. They embarrass themselves, run off crying, boo-hoo. Main characters win, and the pet store lives to see another day. And Blythe ends up becoming an employee because there's just so much money that the lady running the store doesn't know what she's going to do with it all. So she asks Blythe to help, and she becomes an employee. And we end with one more gag with the pilot dad finally coming back from work, and he goes, "What happened? Did I miss something?" And then Iris in end credits. Everybody laughs.
I like this one a lot.
Yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, clearly this show must have done a little bit better than Pound Puppies, because it went for at least 4 seasons. I think it went 2012 to 2015, 2016, I believe.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. But I thought it was fine. I think the humor in it is a little bit better. It kind of feels a little more in the vein of MLP than Pound Puppies was. I don't know if I would have kept up with all of it, but I mean, this one, it's good. It was fine for what it was. I don't know if we're gonna like make this a regular thing, but yeah, I mean, these 2 episodes in particular, they were fun enough.
Yeah, and I liked in Littlest Pet Shop they had both girls and boy pets. It was a good change of pace by instead of having an all girl cast or all boys or whatever.
Yeah. It was a good mix up with that, and all the characters have distinct personalities, which again, maybe it was just me, but it was kind of reminding me of MLP. But they did enough from these first 2 episodes anyway. They did a decent enough job distinguishing these characters as being not just clones of like main 6 from My Little Pony.
Even if the monkey looked a lot like Pinkie Pie and the dog looked like Twilight Sparkle.
Oh God, yeah. Those are the 2 in particular that stick out as being particularly like, wait a fucking minute.
Like, were you copying?
They were certainly using a lot of the same voice actors for sure.
Yeah, if they had gotten their actual voice actors, it's like, okay, you're just straight up copying.
I mean, you got Ashley Ball, Nicole Oliver, Kathleen Barr was there. Tabitha St. Germain is in there. But yeah, I mean, I think out of the 2, I think I preferred the Littlest Pet Shop one. It was fine. Like I liked it a little bit more than Pound Puppies, which it's not like I hated the Pound Puppies one. It's just, yeah, I mean, for what they are, they're both perfectly serviceable. I can see why people liked them and why they lasted as long as they did, but for first time experience watching these, it's like, they're fine.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they didn't really have a pilot for Pound Puppies because it just kind of throws you in there.
Yeah.
Where with Littlest Pet Shop, they definitely want to establish a lot more.
And it makes me wonder if they're ever going to try and bring these shows back, because I know MLP, they rebranded with Gen 5, so it makes me wonder if maybe someday down the road they are going to try and maybe bring back these series at some point, like with new versions or whatever. I mean, they do that with Transformers. They do that a lot with that series because Transformers and MLP are like their most popular thing.
And this isn't connected to them, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles seems to get a new show or film series like every couple of years.
Oh God, yeah, they definitely do that with Ninja Turtles a lot. Who knows? Maybe we'll do a Ninja Turtles retrospective. I also want to do an Equestria Girls retrospective at some point. We can watch the movies and talk about them.
That would be interesting.
'Cause I gotta ask, have you ever seen like you've seen all four Equestria Girls movies before, right?
Actually, I've only seen two of them.
The first two, the best ones.
Actually, I've not. Oh, I haven't seen the second one.
Really? The second one's like the best one. Well, yeah, that'll be a fun one to do at some point when we get around to that. But yeah, I mean, as for now, that pretty much concludes this one. Like we said last time, this is going to be an on and off thing. We're not going to do this super regularly, but we'll do this every once in a while. Like apparently we can do Equestria Girls at some point. Another one we have potentially listed is a discussion for most hated movie cliches, which I think that should be fun.
Oh, that'll definitely be an interesting one to go after.
But anyways, yeah, that does it for this podcast. Our episode reviews of the pilots for Pound Puppies and Littlest Pet Shop. Anything else to say, Kat?
Well, that bozo at the pound should be fired. And for Littlest Pet Shop, I think maybe it's just something you have to get used to, but the eyes on the humans are a little creepy.
Because they have like sparkles in them. Like, did you notice that?
Yeah, they were very sparkly, very mascara heavy.
Yeah, what can you expect from a Hasbro toy line tie-in cartoon?
Yeah, and their heads are huge.
Oh my god, yes, they are. It's that classic like kid show design where gigantic heads and like proportionally small bodies.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, that does it for this one. Look forward to more videos coming up. And until then, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.